before we begin, feel where your body is touching something. The chair, the floor, the ground beneath your life, the fabric you're wearing. You don't have to agree with me. You don't need to improve anything. Just let your body listen. This is not advice. This is a transmission. Take what lands and leave the rest. Inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth. Let the exhale be messy. I want to tell you about the moment I lost control. One of the first times where my body refused to stay quiet. Northern Laos, Southeast Asia, 2013. Beautiful scenery by the river, a bamboo platform overlooking the lush green. I walked into my very first yoga class ever. To be fully correct, it was not my very first yoga class, but it was the first yoga class which I was like, I am choosing this. My very, very first yoga class. My mom actually took me to one of my aunt's classes when I was way younger. So here I was, backpacking through Southeast Asia, as one does when they quit corporate law. And my grandmother died. My grandmother had passed, and my sister called me to tell me, not my mom, because we didn't speak at that time. My first response to that news, it wasn't new. She had an illness before that, before I left on this journey. So I got to say goodbye, but still, it still hit me as a shock, right? My grandmother was dead. First response, I got blackout drunk. I got so drunk that I woke up on a hotel hallway on the floor the next day. About a week later, I walk into this first yoga class. So, I had seen a little poster where yoga is offered in this beautiful space where they also have beach volleyball and parties and all kinds of different things. And said grandmother started practicing yoga in the 60s in Austria, which was back then revolutionary. Nobody did that, but she went to yoga. And I always thought that yoga is for old people, it's boring, but you know what, I'm gonna attend this class in her memory to honor her. And I arrive, and again, it's like beautiful bamboo platform. And I mean, my whole time in Southeast Asia, I was drunk, pretty much. And I had just come back from this wild time where I don't think that's allowed anymore, but they used to tube down the Lao River and serve you Lao whiskey shots everywhere. And after that experience, that was the day I found out that my grandmother had died. And after that, we still went to this jungle party, and I hardly ever got blackout drunk in my life. Like, my stamina was just immense. This is one of the times where you wake up in the morning and you have no idea how you got there, with whom you were. That was my first response. So I had some, I was actually waiting for my credit card to be mailed. And, things take time, especially in Southeast Asia. And I had given this address where I used to stay, so I had to go back to this one place where I then ended up going to this yoga class. I arrive, beautiful bamboo platform, and I remember I had this bright pink yoga mat and was kind of trying to hide in a corner. And I was awkwardly trying to copy everyone, like copy the movements and breathing, moving and stretching, felt super awkward, super out of place, but I tried to do the thing and maybe even enjoy it. So I'm busy trying to blend in. And then suddenly I had this intense grief, sadness, like just tearing out of me. Like there was no way I could have kept that down. It was so powerful. Like the body was powerful beyond my mind, but powerful beyond any safety mechanism. So from the core of my being, from the depths of my soul, this wailing, howling, sobbing emerged, and I broke open. All the walls I had carefully built up over my life, just floodgates were open. So I was in this yoga class on this pink yoga mat in this beautiful scenery, bawling my eyes out, crying, perhaps the hardest I've cried, at least in my adult life. I couldn't stop. I could not stop crying. I tried to hold it back. I tried to hold it together because, stop crying, don't cry, especially for men, even for me as a woman. But yeah, trying to keep it in, no fucking way. And it was not just the grief over the passing of my beloved grandmother, it was everything. It felt like everything I had not felt during those 26 years erupted, like massaged through the breath, massaged through the movement of yoga, maybe the words of the teacher, maybe the setting, the scenery, all came out all at once. So all the moments I froze, all the moments I had shut down, I had silenced myself, now came out of me. The walls I had built to stay safe from my own feelings, they crumbled, they disintegrated, they exploded. It felt like an implosion, explosion. Those walls they stopped existing in this moment. I was incredibly embarrassed. I was so embarrassed. I felt so much shame about this loss of control in this public setting. It was incredibly embarrassing to me. I cried and I cried and I cried. And at the end of this class, the teacher, she stayed with me and witnessed me in my sadness and asked if there was anything I needed. And she didn't try to fix me. She just offered being a loving witness to my experience. And I would still love to let them know what a pivotal experience that was for me, where I was just allowed to be who I am and feel what I feel, and being lovingly witnessed in that with no need for fixing or changing anything was so, so important to me in my evolution, in my experience. And I came back. I was like, oh wow, something really moved. It was incredibly uncomfortable. It was very uncomfortable. But I decided to come back and did a few more yoga classes in this beautiful location. One day I met this amazing woman. It was actually a super rainy day, so they had canceled the class. I still showed up, and this other beautiful woman showed up, and we got to connect, and it was awesome. But yeah, from that day on, or those days on, I sought out yoga wherever I went. No matter if it was still traveling in Southeast Asia, being back in Austria. I looked for yoga wherever I went. Some of those experiences were better, some teachers were better, some styles resonated more with me, others less. With other teachers I resonated less. But in the past 13 years, the yoga practice, the practice of yoga in the sense of asana practice, movement practice, has been incredibly important to me. To me, it was a portal into so many places where I am now. For years, yoga was also the only place where I felt safe. So it still happens to this day that I show up for yoga practice, doesn't matter if guided or not, and I cry. It's so imprinted in my nervous system, in my sense of safety, that when I'm on a yoga mat, I get to feel. I get to take off the masks. And this movement plus breath experience, this massage of the fascia, the bones, the muscles, where the body keeps the score, it still opens me to this day. It cracks me open. And whenever I feel like something is stuck or bunched down or compressed or tight, I try to go to a yoga class. I also really love it when somebody tells me what to do. I love it. So if an excellent yoga teacher tells me what to do, I can let go of control. Yeah, someone is guiding me, and as a high performer myself, it's such a relief when someone tells you what to do and you feel safe in their guidance. So, the key in all of this here is the movement, the breath, the guidance opened the walls I had so carefully crafted over the years to stay safe from the destructive power of my own feelings. I don't think you consciously avoid emotions, but you avoid being seen in it. You avoid being seen in your emotions. You're keeping it together. High performers fear emotional exposure more than failure. And so many of us are high performers, yeah? We strive for the highest. And emotional exposure, it's so vulnerable. And it's scarier than failure. So, you learned to become excellent at control. You excel at control. Measured, precise, contained. Which is also powerful, right? Having the discipline with oneself to be like, this is so tricky. Right now is not a good moment for expressing my anger or my rage. But can I take note of it and go somewhere where I can express it? And yeah. Your body, though, it remembers everything. The body stores what the mind edits out. Every swallowed truth, every frozen response, every moment you choose control over honesty. And it waits. The body waits. And then one day you do this. You take a deep breath in and you stretch your arms overhead. And you melt. Yeah, and the whole system floods. You become a puddle. So what you call too much, or what you learn to call too much, is often everything you postponed, everything you shoved down, everything you silenced. Highly successful people, high performers think therapy is weak. Yoga is woo-woo. Crying is failure. But the thing that saves you is the thing that breaks you open. The portal you're avoiding is the one you need the most. The thing you call too much is the portal. The thing that breaks you open is often the first place where you feel safe. I know it sounds contradictory, but it's not. It's not contradictory. It's same. Breaks you open, you're like, oh, actually, I can feel this thing and I'm still alive. I might be even more alive than before because I need a lot less energy to silence it, to shove it down. And suddenly I'm like, oh, what a relief. I said my truth. I spoke my truth. I expressed what I'm truly feeling, experiencing. And all that energy that you needed previously to contain it, to keep it in, suddenly you can breathe. Suddenly there's space. And you were trained to manage perception, not sensation. You were trained, how am I perceived from the outside? Am I safe? Am I safe in this surrounding? What do I need to contain in order to belong? Yeah, very, very old things. Because in ancient times, if we were kicked out of our family, of our tribe, of our close environment, alone out there in the wild, we would die. So we'd do everything to belong, to conform. So very deeply ingrained response. So now, when something real moves through you, you shut it down. And going back to Law 2.0, never heard anyone laugh besides my dear colleague and me. Like, we were the only ones cackling our asses off in this environment. But other than that, people there don't laugh. Like, laughter is forbidden. Aliveness is forbidden. Because all the real that is moving through you, shut down. Because you think, if I feel this, I lose control. Which is partially true. And it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing to lose control, to allow yourself to express. And if you cannot feel deeply, you cannot connect deeply. Yeah, they're intrinsically linked. Feeling, connecting. You cannot connect deeply in leadership. You cannot connect deeply in intimacy. You cannot connect deeply in life. So, said this before, your body doesn't need more strategy. It needs permission to break. It needs permission to exhale. You think crying is weakness. You think yoga is soft. Have you ever tried Ashtanga yoga? 125 Chaturanga in the primary series? Good luck. Let me know how it goes. Not soft. And also, soft is not a bad thing. Soft is great. We love soft. You think feeling will derail you. Also, partially true. Is that a bad thing? The man who cannot feel cannot lead. No feeling, no leading. He can perform, impress, execute, produce, but not connect. He cannot penetrate life. He cannot be penetrated by life. And I want to take a moment here to also acknowledge the product of our society, right? Where there are hardly any environments, any places safe enough for men to actually feel. And I've been on a personal quest to ask men around me what actually makes them feel safe. And in this research, none of them has been asked that before. So I'll keep continuing asking. It's from a place of deep curiosity. What makes you feel safe? And have you ever been asked that before? So maybe ask that people around you. Yeah? And especially for the feminine needs safety in order to open. Side note. And coming back to our responsibility as a society, our responsibility as leaders, our responsibility as men, as women, as non-binary, as people, to actually be curious what makes people safe. And I dare to say, once safety is established, and maybe many of us won't know what makes them feel safe. Many of us never thought about this question. We're never asked this question. So take it forward, pass it on. What makes you feel safe? Think about it for yourself. And see what shifts around you. And to this day, I'm immensely grateful for this environment of my first yoga class ever, of this environment nature there created, the teacher created, my personal circumstances of just having lost my grandmother, really being so thin, my walls being so thin, my skin being so thin, that there was no way to question the safety. Yeah, it felt safe enough, and it doesn't have to be perfect, but what would give you a sense of safety in order to break down? And what broke open on this bright pink yoga mat by the river in Laos 2013, and had been waiting for years, were my walls. Were the walls I had carefully built to stay safe from the explosive power of my own feelings. The grief broke open. Everything. It was not just about my grandmother's passing. It was all the frozen moments. What erupted were, especially my chest area, my heart, right? Like once you start breathing and you're just like, oh my God, like all those things that were stuck that I kept together, where I'm literally doing, this, even if it's ever so slightly, all that is suddenly broken open. And that's another thing, right? Nobody teaches us, or we are taught to forget how to actually breathe. Like so many of us only breathe up to here, maybe here. What actually happens if you fully expand your lungs and let them move your diaphragm into your belly, into your back, into your sides? There's so much holding there, and suddenly your breath breaks the walls. And what was I actually grieving? What was underneath the grief around my grandmother's death? What was I grieving underneath? And there's so many layers to all of this, right? Partially I was grieving that the life I had dreamt of didn't work out as I had imagined it. I had big dreams. I wanted to have a PhD and be partner in a prestigious law firm by 30, and here I was, having learned recently that this was not for me. After having quit law 1.0, I was like, this is this is not my life. This is not what I'm meant for. And grieving this loss of identity. And I think already on this journey, my career in diplomacy kind of took shape and evolved. But there were still definitely moments where I had no idea where I'm gonna go, who am I gonna be, what will be my work, where am I gonna live, yeah? It became very clear for me on said journey through Southeast Asia that Vienna was not my place to be, and law firms, corporate law firms, were not my place to be. But where do I put myself? Where am I meant to be at, how old was I, 25, 26? I had no idea. So really grieving this, loss of identity. And grieving all the moments where I had actually closed off my heart. There were so many. The way of staying safe, and I'll go more deeply into that and how it influenced my relating in the next episode. But there was so much grief I had never allowed myself to feel about losing my innocence so young, as a very young girl, around not being believed with this experience. The betrayal, what it felt like betrayal, of like, no, you're making this up, it's not true. Like this little girl of 6 years, I was grieving her innocence. I was grieving with and for the girl who learned to silence herself. Oh, makes me all emotional right now. It's like, wow, there's so much in this moment in Laos 2013 broke open. And it was just the beginning. It was just the beginning. Things got wild after that in a different way than before. Why did my body trust yoga when it trusted nothing else? Why did my body trust this space? And what did it recognize that my mind didn't? And I kind of tapped into that already a bit, but really this nature, like lush green bamboo, this platform, the river, and this like spaciousness, exhaustion too. I was really tired from traveling for months, from being on buses and trains and parties and temples and visiting and crossing borders by foot. Different story. It's a really good one. So I don't know how much I consciously trusted the space, but something in me, and it might be a culmination of all those factors of exhaustion, grief, being in this place, being solo. And it's so funny when you travel solo, you meet so many people, so you're actually always surrounded by people. But with me, as I had to go back to that place to pick up my credit card, I was really traveling solo. And there was something deep inside of me, beyond my mental understanding, where there was no holding back. Where even though I tried to keep it together, no fucking way. There was literally no way. And I experienced that again other times in my life. And funnily enough, I'm just noticing this right now in this moment, grief. A friend of mine passed in an avalanche 2 years ago. And this news hit me so hard. And I remember I was so on autopilot. I woke up in the morning and received this message from a friend, and go teach a yoga class, like pretending as if nothing ever happened. But then I was like, no, we need to let it rip. This needs to come out. And I drove down to the river, not a river, but here, the Columbia River in Revelstoke, BC. And I howled and I wailed and I was like on my knees, and it was this beautiful, crystal clear morning where the mountains are just so crisp, and I was like howling. And so, yeah, apparently grief is one of the things that lets me go beyond the walls. Because as much as I've been working on softening the walls, they're still here. And with good reason. So, you are not avoiding weakness. You are avoiding liberation. You avoid the very thing that would save you, because it requires you to soften. It requires you to let go of control. It requires you to let it rip. You're not avoiding weakness, you're avoiding liberation. And again, all that energy that is required to stay hard, to stay collected, softening that, feeling the sensations, the emotions, that's true liberation. And we'll move into the embodied inquiry. So, some questions for you to connect with your body, with your felt sense on a deeper level. Maybe you want to come back to this, maybe you're ready for it right now. I'm inviting you to take a few deep breaths, a little wiggle through your shoulders, your jaw, your hips. And closing your eyes. And just letting your breath move into your body, out of your body. Softening. And to a place of stillness. Question number 1. What emotion is right underneath your surface right now? No need to name it. Just noticing the sensations. Where in your body, what is the loudest right underneath the surface? What needs to be heard, felt, sensed? Noticing the sensations. And question number 2. Where do you tighten to contain it? Jaw, chest, your throat, belly, your anus, your genitals. Where are you holding? And again, noticing sensations, allowing for your brain to melt into your body. No need to fix, no need to change. Simply noticing sensations. Question number 3. What would happen if you stopped holding it together? What if breaking open was the portal? What if breaking open was the portal? I didn't go to yoga to heal. I went because I had nowhere else to go. And my body finally had somewhere to speak. You don't need to collapse to feel, but at some point, your body will choose for you. And I wish for you to start feeling, to start breaking open, to start being messy before you lay on your deathbed. This is really my deepest wish for you. Break open. Be messy. Be human. Be vulnerable. And I also wish for you to find places, people, where it is actually safe enough to do so. It doesn't need to be perfect, but just safe enough. And I take pride in my clients, in men bursting into tears in my session, men who say they usually don't cry. Having them cry in session with me, I am so grateful. And as a society, there is so much of catching up to do to let it be safe. If you are feeling this in your body, the weekly letter from me, Flora Petri, to you is below. This is where I share first about my exclusive private programs. I currently have 2 spots available for the month of April, in the month of April. And that's also where I share first what is moving through me. Like, comment, share with someone who think you would benefit from this. Save for later. And find me